So those are some tips of things that help us with being a good person and being able to communicate well with others. But sometimes when we're communicating with somebody, we are communicating feelings that maybe are hard to talk about. We might be having a disagreement, or we might be feeling upset with somebody. So sometimes if we're having those difficult conversations, there's some things that we also need to remember to help us to also keep that effective communication open while still being respectful to another person. So if you're having a difficult conversation, make sure that you avoid using the silent treatment. We don't want to just ignore a person and not be open and talking about how we're feeling or how they're feeling. Don't jump to any kind of conclusion. Find out all the facts before guessing or making an assumption. You want to make sure that you know what the real information is before you make that conclusion. Discuss what actually happened. Don't judge. Don't judge a person or don't judge a situation. Sometimes we might not know all of the information. We need to actually talk about what actually happens. Make sure you learn to understand each other. You want to be able to talk using future, present, and past tense. You don't want to just not understand who you're talking with or understand where they're coming from. You want to make sure that you learn to understand what they mean, where they've come from, and where they're going to be going. And really concentrate on that major problem. If you're having a difficult situation or difficult conversation, you want to focus just on that. Don't be talking about other minor problems or getting distracted by other issues. Really focus on what you came to communicate about and what you are here to talk about. And really, when you're focusing on that major problem, talk about the problems that hurt you or that are hurting the other person's feelings. Don't try to dwell on a different opinion or a different situation or bring anybody else into that. Make sure that you are focusing on what that specific issue is or that specific conversation that you're trying to have. And really make sure that you are using I statements, I feel statements, and not you statements. If the other person really understands how you are feeling, it makes the situation a lot easier. If you are always making a you are or you feel or you did statements, people get a little bit more defensive. So make sure that you're really focusing on how you are feeling and using those I statements that are so important in a conversation. So those are some different tips of things that you can do to really work on being a good communicator, and then some things that maybe you should try to avoid if you're having a difficult conversation, or even just avoid any kind of conversation to help keep that conversation open and keep the communication flowing. Communication is hard. We all need to work on communicating effectively every day. It's something that nobody is perfect at, and we're always working on different ways to keep our communication open. When we continue to work on our skills, communicating with others does become more natural, and we can continue to work on building better relationships with those that are around us. So today, I'm going to ask you to do a little activity with me. So what I need you to do is, you can pause the video right now, but I need you to find a piece of paper and a pencil or something to write with. Just something like a piece of scratch paper, anything that you can find that you can quickly use for our activity that we have today. So go ahead and pause and grab a piece of paper and something to write with. Okay, so if you're back, what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask you to complete the following activity. You're going to need that piece of paper and something to write with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some directions, and I want you to draw what I am telling you to draw. And we're going to see if what your picture that you have drawn comes out to look like what I'm asking you to draw. Just a little fun to see if the communication skills that I have in giving you directions are very good. And to kind of see how when we do give out our directions, they do have to be clear, specific, or we use the word concise, to be able to give effective communication to other people. Okay, so let's try this out. On your piece of paper, I have 5 directions for you. The first one that I would like you to do is to number 1. Now, I'm not going to repeat these, so make sure you're being an active listener and hearing what the directions are. So number 1. Draw a large square in the middle of your paper. Okay, number 2. On top of the square you just drew, draw a large triangle. Number 3. Inside the large square that you drew, draw a small square in the upper left corner. Number 4. Inside the large square that you already drew, draw another small square the same size as the last one in the upper right corner. And number 5, in the large square you drew, draw a rectangle in the middle of the bottom of the square. Okay, so that is activity number 1. So this is some things that I want you to think about. Were those directions easy to understand? Were they easy to follow? They seem pretty simple, but we're going to see what your picture kind of looks like. Okay, so the picture that you should have drawn should have looked like this. So did yours turn out the same? Does it look a little different? So we have to really think about what our communication skills are like, how we communicate different directions or different things to people. As we kind of get together maybe this week, I do have another little activity that kind of goes along with communicating, and we'll see if a few of you have a chance to do that with me. But I really want you to think about how you're giving those feelings, maybe talking about different topics with people, and how you are communicating with other people. Communication is simple. Communication is hard. So we really need to always continue to work on what our communication skills are. And remember those different tips to help develop better communication skills. Making sure that we are truly expressing our needs, our wants, and at the same time, our feelings, and being that active listener to the people that we're communicating with. So I hope you enjoyed talking about a little bit of communication today, and that you kind of take a little bit of time and put in some effort to always continue to work on those communication skills. Practice with yourself, practice with your family, with your friends, and using that those tips and those different things with communication will really help everyone become a better, effective communicator. All right, I will talk to some of you a lot later this week, and I hope you had a really great 4th of July, and make sure you stay cool this week, okay? Bye.